Assalamu alaikum all. Not many Christians know this, but in the Bible there are about 9 people who are born more miraculously than Jesus. We shall give you the Bible verses and mention them, so hang around. So the first one is Adam. Adam, peace be upon him. If you go to Genesis 2:7, God made Adam from dust, as we all know, Jews, Muslims, and Christians alike. So he made him from dust. So consider the fact that someone who's made out of dust, out of earth, is created far, far more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him, who had a mother. So that was the first one. Go to Genesis 2:7. Now, the second person who was born more miraculously than Jesus is Eve. Now, if you go to Genesis 2:21, 2:22, you will find out, as most of us know anyway, or most of you know, is that God, Azza wa Jal, created Eve from a rib, from Adam's rib. So can you consider the fact once again that Eve was created far, far more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. Now, the third person who was created, we struggle even with the term created, and you will know why, is actually, I don't know whether you've heard of Melchizedek. So Melchizedek, if you go to Hebrews 7:3, he had no father, no mother, no beginning, no end. Can you imagine? No father, no mother, no beginning, no end. Now the third person, this is the third person who is born more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. And I repeat, in Hebrews 7:3, Melchizedek, it is mentioned that he had no father, no mother, no beginning, no end. So after Melchizedek, we shall go to Isaac, peace be upon him. Isaac, the son of Sarah, and Abraham, alayhi salam. So when Isaac was born, Sarah was 90. She was 90 exactly, according to the Bible. This is in Genesis 18:13 and 18:14. So in Genesis 18:13, 18:14, it is mentioned that Sarah, she was barren, meaning sterile. She could not have children. Hence the reason why she only had Isaac at the age of 90 by a miracle of God, Azza wa Jal. So Isaac was born to a woman, to Sarah, who was both very old, well past the childbearing age, so at the age of 90, and she was barren anyway. So 2 combinations: too old to have a child, and barren. She could not, sterile, she could not have a child. So as Jesus, peace be upon him, was born to Mary, probably she was between the age of 11 and 13, I would say, according to Christian scholars, and she must have been more or less roughly between 11 and 13 when she gave birth to Jesus, peace be upon him, and peace be upon her, alayhi salam. So in comparison to Jesus, Isaac is born far more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. The next one, it's a similar case to Isaac, is John the Baptist. If you go to Luke 1:7 and 1:13, so that's the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 7. And when I say 1:13, for those who are not familiar, probably Muslims too are not familiar with the Bible, so that is verse also 1:13. Elizabeth, the wife of Zachariah, alayhi salam, she was very old and barren, the exact same instance or example as that of Sarah. So she bare John the Baptist when she was barren and too old. This is also mentioned in Matthew, probably in Mark too, but in Matthew for sure. In Matthew, it's at the end, I think, after 129, maybe that's chapter 1, maybe verse 30, 31, around there. In fact, was the angel Gabriel speaking to Mary, alayhi salam, and peace be upon her too, Mary. He was speaking to her just before he left, after giving her the glad tidings that she will have a son. And just before he left, he said to her, giving her a bit of family gossip, and you see Elizabeth, who is old and barren when she is about 6 months pregnant or whatever. That is the family gossip that, according to the Bible, that angel Gabriel alayhi salam gave to Mary alayhi salam. So John the Baptist is also born far more miraculously than Jesus. To summarize, he was born to a woman who was sterile, barren, she could not have children her entire life, and she was very old, and her husband was very old and frail too. That's what the Bible tells you, and that's what the Quran tells you too. So after this is the fourth person. So we've had what? No, or fourth or fifth. We've had, so far, we've had Adam, Eve, Melchizedek. Oh, this is the fifth. So we had Isaac and John the Baptist. John the Baptist is the fifth person. Now we shall move to Emmanuel. Now, the Christians like the verse, which is 7:14, Isaiah 7:14. The Christians claim that it speaks about Jesus when it states, and this version will have a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. The entire Christians all over the world use this one, but little they know, this verse has strictly, literally, none whatsoever to do with Jesus, and we will give you the reason why. Now, if you go, so the context. First of all, just that you understand, this virgin will have a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. No one has ever, in the entire Bible, no one has ever called Jesus Emmanuel. So it cannot be him, first of all. And secondly, he is prophesied by the prophet Isaiah in chapter 7, as we said, 7:14, and he is born in chapter 8. This Emmanuel, he is born in chapter 8. If you go to 8:3 and 8:4, I believe. So the context, there was King Ahaz, I don't know how you pronounce his name. He was the king of Judea, I believe. And he had two enemies who are actually going to eliminate his country. And those were Aram, which is Syria, and I believe Ephraim. Ephraim. These two nations were gunning up against him, and he was in such a state. There is an expression in English which states, if I may use, is pulling himself through the eye of a needle without splashing the sides. He was all over the place, this King Ahaz, really, because he was going to be eliminated, so you can imagine. So what he did, he called the prophet Isaiah. He said, what's going to happen? And then the prophet Isaiah said to him, you see, this virgin, she will give birth to a son, and she will call him Emmanuel. And there is also another verse, and there is another verse which states, and before he will be able to cry father and mother, meaning that Emmanuel, your problem is solved. And that's historically exactly what happened. That virgin, that young woman, that virgin gave birth, and before the son, he was a toddler or whatever, so before he could cry, say father and mother, the other two nations were eliminated. I do not know historically whether eliminated by the wrath of God or whatever, but they were eliminated. What I suggest, and I'm not being rude, if you want to get, if the Christians, our Christian brothers and sisters wish to get the correct historical facts surrounding Emmanuel and this virgin giving birth or whatever, you get the historical fact about the king Ahaz and his. Call your local rabbi, find out a rabbi or Jewish center or whatever, and ask a rabbi. He'll take pleasure into spending 5 or 10 minutes explaining to you the historical fact. So you do understand that the Emmanuel, which every single Christian on the planet, I believe, says it is Jesus, is strictly none whatsoever to do with Jesus. So he was prophesied by Isaiah in chapter 7, and he was born in chapter 8. So King Ahaz was in a very bad state. He was really in a very, very bad state. And that's why he called Isaiah. So when he called Isaiah, as I said to him, pro bono publico, no bloody panico. That's the best Latin I know. He said to him, don't worry, before this virgin will give birth, your problem will be solved, and that's exactly what it was. So the Emmanuel here, you may think, because it refers to a prophecy of the birth of Jesus, which is, we repeat, is incorrect, because you would think that it is as miraculous as the birth of Jesus, peace be upon him. But it is not. It is more miraculous. But I cannot go into details, because that's another topic, why it is more miraculous than the birth of Jesus. We'll not go into details. If you wish, it's easier for you, you can consider it as, but it is more miraculous. Okay, now the next one after Emmanuel is Samson. You probably know about Samson. He was a judge. This is mentioned in the book of Judges, 12:2 and 12:3, or was it 13:2 and 13:2? 13:2 and 13:3. I believe 13:2 and 13:3 in Judges. So Samson, he was not a prophet. He was a judge. Judges, the name of the book. Hence, Judges, the name of the book. And Samson, he was a very strong man. Also, probably, there's another story with this. Probably the history's first kamikaze. Kamikaze, as once he died while fighting, and he brought some building down or whatever to chop the enemy so that they win. So Samson himself was born to a mother who was barren. She could not have barren, sterile. She could not have children. So Samson, born to a woman who was barren, could not have sterile, cannot have children. Thus, this implies that he is born more miraculously than Jesus, because, peace be upon him, because Mary, peace be upon her, was in the childbearing age, and she had other children afterwards, as Jesus has some 4 or 5 brothers, and I believe also 2 sisters. So after Samson, there is Samuel. Samuel, if you go to the book 1 Samuel, I cannot pin it down on one single verse, but you can read the whole chapter 1. Spoil yourselves. You should do. You should do. This is the problem. If you read the Bible, you'll discover many things about you, about Christianity. All you need to do is read. Nothing more, nothing less. So Samuel was also born to a woman who was barren, sterile. She could not have children. If a man is born to a woman who is barren, that is a miracle, only a miracle from God that can make that happen. And because, once again, Mary was in the childbearing age, then he is born more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. And I think I need to count. Have I missed? So we had Adam, and then Eve, and then Melchizedek. After Melchizedek, Isaac. After Isaac, John the Baptist. Then Emmanuel. We mentioned Samson, and we mentioned Samuel. So yes, the last one, interesting story. The last one is the son of the Shunammite woman. Shunammite woman was from a town called Shenem or something like that. Hence the Shunammite woman. We are not sure the Shunammite woman was old, but she was most definitely barren. The Shunammite woman, in fact, it was during the time of the prophet. You can pronounce it Elisha or Elisha, both are possible. So let's say Prophet Elisha, he used to go to this town, and this lady and her husband was very old, that is correct, but her, I'm not sure whether she was old or not. It's not mentioned in the Bible, otherwise I would have told you. So I believe it's not mentioned, so, you know. So this lady said to her husband, because this prophet comes to our town, Prophet Elisha, he comes to our town, let's give him a room in our house and give him food and everything whenever he comes here and stays. So she was doing a good deed towards him. So the prophet, once he was with them in their house, and he said to the lady, to the Shunammite woman, he said to her in the English style, old English style, English, this lifetime, whatever, meaning probably next year or next season or whatever. He said, you will have a son. So the Shunammite woman said to him, vuoi volare? One of the first sentences I learned in Italian. Do you want to fly? Meaning she didn't believe him. No, she didn't say vuoi volare, naturally, but she said something similar. She said to him, don't lie. You are a man of God. Meaning you are a prophet. You don't lie. Don't lie to me. Now, in your opinion, why would the Shunammite woman tell a prophet of God, don't lie to me? Don't say to me, you are a man of God, you're a prophet. Don't say this. Why would she appeal to him this way, or him, saying you're lying? Why? It's because she was barren also, and that's what the Bible tells you. She could not have children. She knew she could not have children, but as he is a prophet, direct connection with Allah, with Yahweh. So he receives revelation, and he gave her revelation, and it is God who makes things possible, and it is Allah, Yahweh, the Father. He is the one who miraculously ensured that she will have a son, and indeed she did have a son. So the Shunammite woman's son, who is not named, I believe is not named, we don't have his name, but he was born more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him, once again. Why more miraculously? He was born of a barren woman. Mary, once again, once again, I'm going to become a parrot repeating it so often. Mary was between 11 and 13 years old, according to Christian scholars, when she gave birth to Jesus, peace be upon him. So she was in the childbearing age. Hence, we've given you the names with the Bible verses of no less than nine people who are born more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. Now, the reason why I made this video, it is as means of dawah towards our Christian brothers and sisters. If you believe that Jesus is divine, or Jesus is a God, simply because he's born miraculously, now we have given you 9 people born not as miraculously, but more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. Adam was made from earth, from soil. Eve made from a rib. Adam, Genesis 2:7. Eve, Genesis 2:21-22. Then Melchizedek, no beginning, no end. No father, no mother. Can you imagine? In Hebrews 7:3. Then Isaac, born to Sarah, who was 90 years old and barren also. That was in Genesis 18:13, 18:14. Then we move to John the Baptist. Both his parents were very old and frail. Elizabeth was both barren and old, very old. So Isaac was born. This is in Luke 1:13 and 1:7 and 1:13, both 1:7 and 1:13. Also in Matthew at the end, 1:29, 30, 31, around about that. So again, Isaac we've mentioned. And after Isaac, Emmanuel, this version will give birth this version will give birth to a son and call his name Emmanuel. That was prophesied in Isaiah 7:13, born in Isaiah 8:3 and 8:4. After Emmanuel, we have Samson. Samson was in Judges, I believe, 13:2 and 13:3, born to a barren woman. And then, this is summarizing, and then after Samson there is Samuel. And Samuel, read the whole 1 Samuel, first chapter 1. And he was born to a barren woman. I believe the Bible states that that God opened her womb after shutting it, meaning that she was barren, but he made a miracle and she was born. And then, last but not least, is the son of the Shumanite woman, who was also barren, and her husband was very old. And that is the 9 people born more miraculously than Jesus, peace be upon him. If the divinity only stands because of this, then you will understand that you have 9 other gods. Wal-'iyadu billah. I thank you for watching, for sharing, and if you like our work, subscribe, press like. Any questions, comments, whatever, you're more than welcome to get in touch. For those who would like to have a chat regarding this subject or any subject related to this Bible insights, you're more than welcome to get in touch. Drop a line with your email or Instagram or whatever, and we'll get in touch. وآخر دعوانا والسلام عليكم والحمد لله رب العالمين.